Okay, folks. First off, apologies right away because I'm trying to hold the camera with my hand here, and I know that can be distracting, but I can't figure another way to do this. So let's see how this works. But something struck me as I was working with rolling with a new gi I bought, um, and that is trying to explain to people the difference between a relatively cheap gi and a relatively expensive gi. And I'm in my closet right now. Yeah, that's literally, not figuratively, but to kind of show this, and this seems to be the best way I can try to explain it. So, I used to work in the clothing industry a little bit, and so I was, selling these kinds of things. And if you look at this basic suit jacket, you can see it's when it's hanging on a coat hanger, um, it has some shape. Like it just doesn't hang like a dish rag, right? And this is a fairly light suit. The heavier suits will have a little more shape to them, but you can kind of see how the shoulder and complex and the arm here, they kind of hang with some shape. I don't know how better to explain it. This arm is actually rolled a little bit, right? So I don't know if people realize that or not, but this arm comes out, and then they roll it just a little bit so that it mimics how your arm kind of lines up beside you when you're standing, so that it's not perfectly straight because your arm doesn't hang perfectly straight. There's an elbow bend, there's a shoulder bend, etc. So you can kind of see that just hanging on a rack here, it kind of supports itself. There's some structure, there's some shaping that's gone on here. Very similar to a gi I showed a little while ago. This is my Shoyoroll, my only Shoyoroll. And you can kind of tell that it has some shape when you hang it on a rack. It might not look it now, and this isn't a great coat hanger, by the way, for this, but you can kind of see that the shoulder kind of drapes a little bit. The arm kind of curls in a little bit. See how there's like some kind of angle here. There's something going on that's just a little bit more than hanging completely flat. The back has some kind of shape to it. Like it looks like somebody has put some effort into how much depth goes into the collar here, how much the shoulder rolls off here a little bit, the shape that the thing forms, so that it kind of conforms to your body a little bit better. Not to the extent of this, because suits have padding and whatnot that they can work and keep the shape. And your gi doesn't have padding really. It has, they put a little extra layering in here. And I think, saying that, I'm kind of lying a little bit, because Shoyoroll does do this thing, at least on this gi. I don't know if they do it with all of them. But they put this liner in up in the shoulder area, and it kind of mimics what they do here with shoulders on a suit jacket. Not to the same extent, and this is much thinner, and it doesn't have the same shape exactly, but you can feel that there's something here to make some shape with. So it hangs a lot nicer, and for guys who have tried these kind of more expensive gis, and Shoyoroll seems to do this part about the best that I've ever seen. It's obvious to me that somebody has designed this thing for people to wear, much like a suit jacket. It wouldn't shock me to know that the people designing this maybe used to design this kind of stuff, because there's some similarities here, no question. As opposed to, and I don't want to out anybody here, so I'm going to try to hide the brand label, but as opposed to this. Now, this is a very inexpensive gi. This cost me like $60. So, hey, and the Shoyoroll cost well over 200. So let's, kind of be honest, be honest with that a little bit. But you can see that there's no thought at all really to what's going on in the shoulder area. Look, you can even see here I don't know if you can see very well through the video, but there's like not even really any sort of defined armhole, arm shoulder, where the Shoyoroll, you can see that somebody's actually gone to some effort of shaping this a little bit. This one, not really. You know, somebody's sewn some bits on the shoulder to kind of give it some extra strength, I guess, up here, but not really any sort of shape. When it hangs, you can kind of see how it just, and this is the same coat hanger, so you know we're kind of comparing apples to apples here. It just, there's not much I can do to make this sort of hang nicely. It just is like, and no offense to the ski manufacturer, but it's a little bit like a, you know, like a dish rag kind of hanging. And you'll see this kind of thing in really cheap suits, like really cheap, but even your $100 suits tend to have a little bit of shape in them, like someone's gone to some effort. The difference with suits is typically in the fabric. So what they use in the padding here is of a higher quality the better you get, and it's stitched better and all that kind of stuff. But the concept is generally the same. Whereas this ski is just, it has very little shape. It's almost like somebody's cut it completely square, sewed it together, and you know, kind of been done with it. Whereas this, you know, okay, ignore some of the bling because that can kind of you know, take your eyes away from the important point here. But they've gone to some effort here to make the thing fit more like a suit jacket than like a, I don't know, like a sweatshirt top or something. And that's not even fair because sweatshirts typically have a little bit more shape to them than this does. More like pajamas, I guess. You know how pajamas are just kind of square, like the pants are square, the shirt is just kind of squared off. There's no shape at all. And the pants are the same. Like these are really inexpensive pants again. These are, you know, kind of what you'd expect for a $60 gi, I guess. But that said, there's $100 gis that follow this a little bit better, right? Maybe not to the extent that Shoyoroll shapes the clothing and takes some effort in the cut, but certainly better than this. Yeah, when I bought the ski, I got it on Amazon, and it was quite inexpensive, and I was like, hey, you know, and it is a name brand, and hopefully I haven't shown it because I don't want to insult anybody, but it's just, it's a single weave, so it does feel nice. This fabric is kind of nice. If nobody's ever worn a single weave before, it's almost like a bathrobe kind of feel to it, which probably doesn't help the shapelessness of it. But the thing that struck me the most is when you hang it on a rack, it just has this lack of attention to any sort of cut, any sort of shaping that you do get a fair bit in the Shoyoroll. And when you wear it especially, you really notice it. Whereas this will hang off your shoulders just like a drape. This has a bit of an angle to it, a bit of a shape, not to the extent of a suit jacket, but surprisingly close. So I don't know if that helps. I'm not trying to sell people expensive gis. I understand that this is a little more expensive than it really needs to be, but to show that there is some detail here that you're paying for beyond the brand and beyond some of the bling that you're not going to get in this. Not to say that you can't roll in both of them, you certainly can. And honestly, I'm keeping this thing for training days when I don't feel like taking the care to wash this one properly. I don't have time. I'm going to grab this as my second gi, or my third gi. There's no problem with it. It's just, you know, you are kind of getting what you're paying for more than you think with the Shoyoroll. There is more to it and more to these higher end gis than you think. It's not just the fabric. It's not just the bling stuff. There's some care that's gone into here to design this thing much more like a suit than like a bathrobe, right? You know, kind of thing. So, you know, that's my little insight onto it. I hope it's proved useful. Let me know if you have any comments. All right, bye for now.